What is going on, guys? Coming at you live again. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this 2008 Nissan Altima and how I came to own it in the last day. So it's kind of a weird story, honestly. We'll go inside, kind of have a look inside here, chilling here for a minute. So basically, what happened was I'm just at AutoZone at I don't know, probably 7:30 at night, right? And I was done for the day, but my buddy asked me to pick him up a battery for his motorcycle, so I swung in there. And I'm standing in line, and this dude's ahead of me talking about just all types of weird conclusions about what's wrong with his car, but saying he doesn't really know. Somebody else told him that, and they were just wrong. Like, he was talking about stuff that was totally unrelated to his issues. And he was asking the guy at AutoZone who he could take it to. And the guy at AutoZone said, well, there's a shop here, there's a shop there. And then the AutoZone guy recognized me and knew that I have a commercial account with them. And he goes, oh, well, that guy has a commercial account with us. Maybe he can help you out. And he points at me, and I was like, all right, what's up with it? And so this guy says that he was driving his car to Florida from New Jersey, and sorry, my neighbor's pulling up to his unit right now. So he said he was driving his car to Florida from New Jersey, and the car just was losing power on the interstate. And I asked him a couple of questions here and there, and I knew that there was like a spark issue with it. So I so I told this dude, I'll check it out with my scanner. I had my scan tool in my truck, luckily, and so I go outside of the parking lot, plug in the scan tool, and immediately popped up a misfire on cylinder one. I tell him, yeah, it's gonna at least need a coil pack, and it could possibly need more, because like when it was running, it sounded really, really bad. So anyway, I discussed with him, like, okay, you can buy a coil pack. We figured out the price, and I was gonna give him a really good deal on it, and the man just didn't have any money. And he said, man, I think the guy told me, he said, yeah, I don't have enough money to fix it, and so I think I'm gonna have to scrap the car and just take a train home. And I said, well, you're only gonna get like $200 to scrap it. And he was like, yeah, no, I don't know what I'm gonna do. So I told him, I said, well, if you're gonna scrap it anyway, I'll buy it off you for the same price. It's not a big deal. And long story short, I ended up going and just helping this guy get to where he was going, because I felt kind of bad for him. I mean, I've been in bad situations myself, and honestly, there isn't like a whole ton wrong with this car, so I didn't really mind doing it, right? So essentially, the deal is I ended up buying him a plane ticket from here to Daytona, Florida. So we're in the middle of Virginia, so basically Richmond Airport to Daytona Airport in Florida, and paid for his Uber to get there in exchange for the car. The kicker to the whole thing is that ticket, even though I bought it with less than 24 hours notice, was only $190, and the Uber was like $30. So it was really cheap. And like I said, really all it needs is a at least at the time, I believe they just need a coil pack. If nothing else, I can junk it and make a couple bucks, and I'll help this guy out. He didn't have access to a computer because he was on the road, and he couldn't get his family back home to do it. So, he really needed help, honestly. Like, he couldn't have done this on his own. What, am I going to make a ton of money on it? I might make a good amount, depending on what it takes to get this thing going. So let's get into that real quick because we're already going on 5 minutes here. So the car is a 2008 Nissan Altima. It has 222,000 miles, has a 2.5, and I'm going to show you what basically is the issue. So when I took and I started the car, and I examined the coil packs, right, and it was showing a misfire on cylinder 1. So when you're looking at a 4-cylinder engine generally, and this isn't always true, you read from left to right, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can see this coil pack is newer than the rest. So I had it running, and I went ahead and unplugged this coil pack. The engine ran exactly the same. So then I went ahead, because I actually have a car with the same exact motor sitting right there. So the coil packs are the same. So I took a coil pack out of that car, and I was going to put it into this car just to see if it made it run correctly. And when I pulled this coil pack out, as you're about to see, it is soaked in oil. Just literally pouring oil off it. You can't see down in there, but when I look down in there with a flashlight, it's filled almost to that little chamber for the spark plug and coil pack is filled almost to the top with oil. So what has happened is the valve cover has a gasket that's almost like, and it's got like these little O-rings that go around each of these little spark plug holes, and if that O-ring goes bad, it's going to leak oil in there, and that's exactly what's happened. That's why this whole thing's covered in oil the way it is. So I'll have to get a valve cover gasket, which probably doesn't sound like a big deal, and it wouldn't be, except for the fact that a motor mount is in the way of the valve cover. So I'll have to undo this motor mount. So there's basically one big bolt down there. There's all these bolts, this bolt. Looks like I'll have to disconnect the alternator and take off that back motor mount to get down to the bolts for this valve cover. And then I can throw the gasket in there. So yeah, it would have been a couple $100 probably if he was going to pay me to do it. So looks like we got Count Dante's in here today. What is up, my friend? Long time no see. But yeah, other than that, car's got a little bit of damage here. I'll show you. So you can see a little scrape down the side. The front bumper's got a little tiny bit of damage right there, down the bottom corner. But other than that, it's a pretty clean car. Being an 08 Altima, I don't really know what it's worth. And you know, for having no spark to one of the cylinders, it actually runs pretty decent. Tires are pretty nice. Obviously, it's a New Jersey car, so rust is an issue with everything in New Jersey, but all things considered, this is the only spot of rust I've noticed on this thing. So yeah, I don't know. So what am I in it, like 210, 220 bucks, a little bit less than $220 for an 08 Altima. Yeah, it's got 222,000 miles. And yeah, I'm gonna have to put a valve cover gasket in this thing. But ultimately, you know, I'll be able to probably be able to sell it for a solid $2,000 even with that mileage. I'll have to look at the values and see what other ones are going for, but if, you know, anything over what I have in it is all right with me. You know, try to make as much as I can on it. But ultimately, I'm just trying to help people out as much as I can, because I've been in those situations. And I can't imagine being so far away from home where, you know, I didn't know what I was going to do. I needed help, and he really didn't have much of a choice. You know, it's not that I was trying to scam him or anything here, but this was basically his best option. Somebody put some weird crap on this hood. You can see there's some dents in the hood here, some weird crap. I might not even mess with the body. I'll just make it run good and just sell it for whatever, even if I get $1,500 for it by the time I'm all said and done. You know, I'll be doing pretty damn good. So yeah, and if you watched my last video, you might have noticed I was talking about this van that I'm putting the transmission in. In the last video I did, I had two transmissions in front of it, and this has been a slow process because this isn't like my main concern. This is like what I do when I don't have other smaller jobs to do because it's not a big time rush on it. I mean, the thing sat for months with a bad transmission. But anyway, this is the old transmission that I pulled out of it. I've got the new transmission in place. I got a couple of bolts in the bell housing of it. So I still got to put the bolts in the torque converter. The motor's being held up by this sweet hoist that I put in my shop. That's right. I don't know if I told you guys about that. I put this hoist in my shop because I was working on a Dodge truck. Well, I made a couple videos about it where I took the bed off it. And so when I took the bed off this truck, dude, I wasn't really sure how I was going to get it back on. And I was walking through Harbor Freight, and this hoist, this supposed to go in like a gantry, was sitting in the open box section. And I think it was like priced at $100, and normally it's like $170. So I just went ahead and bought this thing and climbed up there. I had to build, you can see the roof here has like these main, whatever you want to call it. Someone was trying to call me. Sorry about that. Someone was trying to call me in the middle of this thing, and it was like one of those telemarketer scammer type people. Anyway, so I put this thing across, a piece of steel. It's actually like a big, like, I don't know, it's a pretty thick piece of angle iron. And I welded some brackets to it. And yeah, I've picked up a couple motors with it, picked up this motor, picked up the whole transmission, everything with it. It's all holding together fine. Right now, it's actually holding up the motor and the transmission on this side. There's a mount on the other side, and it's just holding up this half of it. So yeah. So other than that, that's pretty much what's been going on. I've had some other smaller stuff come through. Had to put a starter in a van. Had to put a fuel pump in another van, and what else have I had? Yeah, just a bunch of little stuff coming through. Haven't really been keeping up with Rick. I mean, I completely unsubscribed to him because it was just stressing me out watching him try to scam people. And I'm sad, dude. I watched one of Randy Barber's videos today, just to see what he's up to. And it was actually kind of made me sad, man. He was talking about how he's driving Uber and Lyft. And I'm thinking to myself, man, like, listen, you know, if you're starting from nothing, you got some like little job working at McDonald's or something, you need a little side hustle, that's fine. But if you're a business owner, you know, like for me, like if I went over and started driving for Uber or Lyft, that would be like, I'd be in dire straits, man. I mean, that's basically like getting $10 an hour to do that. And I understand he's like partially retired, but still, you know, not the thing I'd be doing. It doesn't add up, you know, the cost of maintaining the car, the mileage on the car, the fuel. It doesn't work out to a good deal for those drivers just from talking to them. And see Randy's at that point where that's what he's got to do. I mean, I know he wants to make it sound like if he hears me say that, he's going to want to try and say, hey, you know, I'm just doing it just, you know, for a little extra play money. It's not like anything serious for me. But it's like, yeah, but I mean, I'd be losing money by doing that. I could find much more, you know, being a business owner, there's no limit on the amount of work or money I can make, right? Like, you know, if I exchange my time to drive like an Uber, that means I don't have the work. That means I'm not making the money. And that don't work for me, man. That don't work for me. And I know his situation's different. He's got like some other dude running his son or whatever running the car lot, but still, if it's his, he should be the one. Yeah, Uber did put out a lot of taxi companies, but that's what Count Dante said in the chat here. Uber put out a bunch of taxi companies, but I mean, you know, it's just a competition of price. But in reality, Uber didn't stand anything to lose by charging a low price. They only are charging just enough to make some money and to run their system and make a profit on it, and then like pay the drivers enough to make it worth it to them. So, yeah. But But yeah, so you know, I'm not trying to talk shit on Randy. But you guys, if you are fans of Randy, give him some kind-hearted words, because I don't think he'd admit it, but I think he's going through a struggle. If he's driving for Uber, I feel no hate towards that man at all. I have a lot of respect for him, and I feel bad that he's at that point. I'm not trying to out him or anything like that. I feel bad for him. It's a bad thing that he's going through, because that's not, if you're running a successful business, that's not a very good use of your time at all. So something's not being successful for him, and that's why he's doing it. So go give him some words of encouragement. Check out his video. Make sure he knows that you guys are all there for him, because I feel bad. And thank you guys for watching. And let me know, what you guys want to see. I could make videos about anything I'm doing. But the problem is sometimes I don't know if it's something you guys want to see, right? Like, I could sit here and give you like a walkthrough of this whole transmission job. It would probably be a pain in the ass to film, but if I knew you guys would want it and would really enjoy watching it, I would do it. So, if that's something, if you guys have something specific that you have a question about or anything like that, I'll do my best to answer it. And yeah, thank you for watching. If you like this video, subscribe for more, hit that like button, and I'll catch you all in the next one.